Hello everybody, Irina Grinevich here with Realty One Group, and today I wanted to record this video in light of the recent events in the stocks market with the virus, shelter in place, and how it all reflects on the housing market. Many are concerned that we're heading into the next crash like we had in 2008, which was hard to forget, but here I am to provide some statistics, some proof to you, first of all, to provide information that is all checked out, that is solid, and something that you can rely on. On the other note, I really hope that everyone's safe out there, and also that you guys are, in the sound state of the mind. I know all of the routines have been disrupted. Kids are home. We are working from home, everybody's working from home, and that is not something that we're all used to, and that really plays tricks with us. So it's important to keep up with your routine. So if you're getting up at 6 in the morning on your normal day, keep on doing that. Get up at 6 in the morning, do your workout, meditate, eat well. Quarantine does not mean that we drop everything and just change and shift. So I think keeping the routines that we had during our normal routine and normal work hours, it's critical to keep a solid mind, keep the panic down. There's no reason to panic. We're gonna live through this, as you might have heard on some channels. But another point that I want to make is that media is really pushing their point, maybe beyond, and that is obvious. I would encourage you to stay busy, go out in the park. Right now it's beautiful and green, not too hot, not too cold. This is a great opportunity to spend time with the family and catch up on your hobby. So with that being said, I want to dive in right into the topic of the video. So I've prepared some charts, and then as we're gonna go, I encourage you to ask me any questions in comments, and then I would be happy to address each situation separately. But what we see right now, and I'm talking about local markets in Sacramento, is that we see an increase in canceled listings, and we observe cancellations during escrows. So with the question, how's market doing? I say, it's day by day, hour by hour. Mortgage rates are changing literally by hour, every hour. So it's hard to say how things are, but some of my buyers and some of the sellers decide to hold off, and I fully respect that decision. And some others are actually deciding that they need to make the move right now, which there are some benefits to that. But in any rate, my job is to keep you at par with all information, with the good information that is solid, that you can make appropriate decisions. So let's walk through a little bit, what was happening in the last recession with the home prices. So as you look here, in 1980, prices actually increased, and so did in 1981. In 1991, they decreased by just a little bit, and then they went back up in 2001. What was really, really memorable is that in 2008 recession, they dropped. And so that is what we remember, and that's what, bringing concern to many homeowners out there. So what I'm trying to say is that not every recession actually means price drop or home prices changes like we've seen in 2008. And why that was, I'm actually gonna walk through that too, is that we had some practices that did not prove to be effective. It was really hard not to get a loan in 2008. So for example, if you're working as a waiter at the restaurant, and when you're applying for a home mortgage, you claim that you earn $1 million, in your income, you would be handed, assigned an appropriate mortgage. So people were, the lending practices were not as careful and cautious as they are today. So we've learned from our mistakes from back when. So that's one of the things. And also another important piece of information is actually the interest rate. They've started at, and this is June of 2018, and then September of 2018, December, and then March, July, and then March of 2020. So as you can see, they started at mid fours, and then they went up, and then they dropped to the record low of 3.29, and then they just rose. And the reason why they're rising, and again, I don't have all of the little details, because that's not, my area of expertise necessarily, but because of the huge demand of refinances and which was just overwhelming for so many lenders, they had to drop the federal rate down to 0 and increase artificially the mortgage interest rates, cool off the demand. So that's pretty much what's been happening, and the rate has been changing hourly every day. So if you have any further questions, I would point you to your lender. If you don't have one, reach out to me. I have phenomenal professionals that I work with on my personal deals, and then that I would happily recommend you to. But what I wanted to also talk about is touch base on mortgage standards back then. So this is actually mortgage credit availability index. It shows how hard or easy it was to get availability of mortgage credit at the point of time. So the higher the index, the easier it is to get a mortgage. During the housing bubble, the index skyrocketed. You can see at the very top, and that was the index was really high. And then after the housing market dropped, after the bubble burst, and after so many foreclosures and all of that, we've learned our lesson, and now bank and lenders are highly regulated. So it is actually on the harder side to get a loan. There's so much paperwork, there's so much proof that you need to submit, and therefore possibility of having the same crash because of the mortgage, because of the lending, is highly unlikely. So take a look, and I will be posting all of these in comments below. And then the second point is that the prices are not soaring out of control like they used to. So this is the annual home price appreciation. As you can see, in 2001 leading to 2005, right before the crash, prices were really appreciating, really high. Some might even say out of control. And then if you look at 2014 leading up to 2019, prices were keeping very stable. And again, that is another good indicator that things are way more in control today than they were before the last recession. And then normal appreciation is, and I'm reading here, referring to an excellent source that I have, is 3.6. And while the current appreciation is slightly above that, it's still very much in control. So home prices right now are very steady, and while they are appreciating, which is probably caused by low interest rates, they're really in control. Now we're gonna take a look at the months of inventory, because what happened was, when the market dropped, is that because of the huge inventory of houses on the market back then, the supply of the inventory that needs to sustain a normal real estate market is approximately six months. Now here we see that it was at 8.2, and today it's 3.1. So anything more than 6 months, is overabundance, and that will cause prices to depreciate. Anything less than a shortage, it will lead to a continued appreciation. So that is also an important point, because say buyers halt, and say we have what we have right now in the market, just stay and accumulate days. What would happen? Because of the still historically low interest rates, and because of the short availability of properties on the market is still going to keep growing and appreciating because of the short supply of properties in the market. So that is another indicator that things today are very different than during the last bubble. And then now I'm going to touch on people are equity rich today, but they're not tapped out. So this graph right here shows the year and how much equity was pulled out of the housing. So what was happening in the last recession is that homeowners were ATM machine, and then immediately withdrew their equity once it was built up to use for whatever reason. Now, while today we're seeing 50% equity and almost in majority of the housing, buyers, or actually homeowners right now, are not tapped out. So compared to what we saw last time, and this is in billions, you can see that it was in the 800 billions of dollars, and then compared to today, it's a lot less. So should something happen when they would tap out and the market would freeze, they basically would owe more than their property would be worth. We call it upside down. And so many would actually abandon their property, and then you had this huge inventory of properties that are in stress. The story is going to be different today because people are smart. People have become smart. We've learned from our mistake, and now we're not tapping out the equity from our house. So with that being said, today we are in a completely healthy, up until 3-4 weeks ago, it was a completely healthy economy. And this really reminds me of 2001, 9/11, where, it came out of blue. Right now it's a medical situation, and yes, of course, market is not the same. It's not business as usual, but honestly, this will pass. And everything depends on how well and how fast we deal with the virus spreading and how well it contained. Because once the consumer confidence increases and restaurants, bars, malls and stores are open back up, spending will go up again, and economy will spike right back up. So that's kind of like my interpretation and my thoughts of what's happening on the market. If you are a buyer, there are certain precautions that I personally implement for my clients, and that is a lot of virtual showings. If you want to see a house, we can definitely arrange something virtual where I go there with the camera. And today's day and age, our cameras are so amazing. But you could zoom in any detail of the house, you can show any detail of the house, any room, and you would be performing walkthrough right alongside with just on the other side of the screen. Things could be done, and then offers be written also contingent upon physical, in-depth physical. Now, if you're a seller, things could, of course, are being adjusted accordingly to prevent any spread of the virus, meaning, wiping off the doorknobs and having shoes covering on all, for all the visitors. So all of those things will be present at my listings. And again, a lot of it would be done virtually. A lot of the showings would be done virtually. We would not be performing open houses anytime soon. Just control the environment and do our part to help make this situation pass. But all in all, what we're hearing out there is that because it did not happen due to the housing market or poor economy performance, it was just a simple out of the blue situation that is being heavily worked on to contain and help solve. So if you have any questions about your specific situation, if you have a property that you've been considering looking at, or you've been looking to sell your property, just give me a call, reach out. I'm here to help. The bottom line is that you and your family so take an opportunity, go on that walk with the kids and do those hobbies and crafts that you never have time for. I personally really want to get back to drawing and some piano playing, so just using the opportunity, and I encourage you to as well. You guys have a great day, and just keep your mind steady and on point. Just do what we can to control it, and that's our mindset number one. All right, you guys take care, and I hope this was of help.